Indonesia should not exist like this. By every violent law of geology, it should be broken, burning uninhabitable. It sits directly on a ring of fire, where tectonic plates collide with relentless force, where the earth cracks, erupts, floods, and trembles without warning, without. Volcanoes rise by the hundreds. Earthquakes ripple beneath the sea. Ash darkens the sky. Lightning tears through columns of smoke. And yet, against all logic, this is not a wasteland. Emerald rice terraces ripple beneath volcanoes that could awaken tomorrow. Coral reefs blaze with color above trenches deep enough to swallow light itself. Jungle. Temple, fire, and ocean exist here, not in spite of one another, but because of one another. This is the great contradiction of Indonesia, a nation built on instability, yet overflowing with life. In one moment, the sea glows turquoise beneath a cloudless sky. In the next, molten rock spills from a crater, and thunder rolls through ash-dark air. Here, destruction is not the opposite of beauty. It is the architect of it. Every island in this chain was forged by violence. Every fertile valley was fed by ancient eruptions. Every forest, reef, and rice field has grown from the memory of catastrophe. Indonesia does not obey the rules we expect from nature. It bends them. It turns danger into abundance, ash into soil, collapse into rebirth. This is not simply a tropical nation scattered across the equator. It is a living frontier where fire and water are still negotiating the shape of the world. Welcome to Indonesia, a realm where paradise stands directly above the forces that could erase it. And where the greatest beauty is born, not from peace, but from survival. Long before Indonesia became a nation, before islands had names, before temples rose from stone, and forests thickened over volcanic soil, this was a different world entirely. Much of what is now ocean was once connected land, Sundaland, a vast drowned continent, stretching across what are now the shallow seas of Southeast Asia-linked islands that today stand apart. Forests spread across plains, now buried beneath warm water. Rivers ran through low valleys where coral now grows. Animals moved freely across distances that no longer exist. Then the sea rose, land-fractured coastlines retreated, and the map of this part of the world was rewritten. Indonesia, as we know, it was born not from stability, but from loss, rupture, and submersion. It is a geography assembled from leftovers, a broken necklace of islands strung across one of the most violent fault systems on Earth. And beneath that broken surface, the engine never stopped. The plates continued to grind, dive, and lift. Magma continued to gather. Pressure continued to build. What followed was not one catastrophe, but a cycle repeated across ages. Until destruction itself became the great sculptor of beauty. Around 74,000 years ago on the island of Sumatra, one of the most powerful eruptions in the history of the human species tore open the earth. Toba did not merely erupt, it detonated on a scale difficult to imagine. Ash spread across continents. The sky dimmed. Entire ecosystems collapsed. Some scientists believe the eruption may have narrowed the human population to a tiny remnant. Whether or not it nearly ended our story, it certainly changed the planet's atmosphere, reshaped the land, and left behind a scar so immense that it later filled with water, becoming Lake Toba, one of the largest volcanic lakes on Earth. Today, it appears serene, cool blue, almost meditative, a vast inland mirror ringed by steep green hills. But beneath that tranquility lies the memory of almost unimaginable violence. Indonesia is full of places like this. Landscapes so beautiful that they seem peaceful, when in fact, they are the cooled remains of apocalypse. Tambora told the same story in a later age, and with consequences the modern world could measure. In 1815, the mountain erupted with such force that it changed weather patterns across the globe. Entire villages were erased. Tens of thousands died in the region. Ash and sulfur veiled the atmosphere so heavily that the following year became known in Europe and North America as the year without a summer. Crops failed. Famine spread. The sky over the other side of the planet was darkened by an island volcano in Indonesia. That is the scale of power concentrated here. A mountain on one island can reach across oceans and seasons and alter the life of people who will never hear its name. Yet this same violence creates the very fertility that draws life back again and again. Volcanic ash once settled and weathered becomes rich soil. Forests root in it. Rice grows in it. Entire civilizations depend on it. Indonesia's first law is this: what destroys today may feed tomorrow. That principle is written not only into the land, but into the creatures that evolved upon it. Isolation did here what violence alone could not. Islands separated by water became separate laboratories of life. Populations split, adapted, changed, and in some cases, became stranger than anything the mainland preserved. On Komodo and neighboring islands, one such experiment survived into the modern age. The Komodo dragon looks less like a lizard than like a memory from a harsher geological time, a predator assembled from muscle, patience, armor, and heat. It moves low to the ground, heavy yet deliberate, tasting the air with its tongue. Reading invisible chemical trails, as if scent were a written map. Its teeth are serrated, its saliva rich in bacteria and venomous compounds. Its strategy based not only on attack, but on certainty. A bite may not kill immediately. It does not need to. The dragon can follow. Wait. Conserve energy while its prey weakens. In a landscape shaped by scarcity and heat efficiency, becomes cruelty refined. That such an animal still exists at all is part of the logic of Indonesia. On these islands, time does not always move forward in the way we expect. Sometimes it preserves monsters. Sometimes it preserves mysteries. On Flores, another revelation emerged from the earth. One even stranger because it concerned not reptiles, but us. In Liangbua Cave, archaeologists discovered the bones of a small-bodied hominin, unlike any known modern human. Barely over a meter tall, with a tiny skull and a body proportioned in ways that sparked global argument, this creature came to be known popularly as the Hobbit, Homo floresiensis. Whether descended from an earlier human lineage that shrank through island isolation, or something even more complicated, it stood as proof that human evolution was not linear, clean, or singular. Different branches survived in different places at different times, and on. Flores, one of those branches, endured in isolation deep into the recent past. Indonesia did not just preserve the giant lizard, it preserved an alternate version of humanity. On these islands, the past is not far away. It waits underground in caves and ash, in buried layers of time, compressed between eruptions. And even where life has not left bones, the land itself behaves like myth. Few places capture that better than Kelimutu, the volcanic mountain on Flores, whose 3 crater lakes change color as if obeying moods rather than chemistry. One may glow turquoise, another darken to green, another burn rust red or black, and then, months later, the palette shifts again. The explanation lies in changing mineral content and oxidation, but science does not erase the feeling of standing before them. The colors look impossible, too theatrical, too intentional, as if the mountain were painting its own internal weather onto the surface. Local belief long held that these lakes received the souls of the dead, separating them by age, wisdom, or conduct. Looking into them, it is easy to understand why. They do not appear like water. They appear like thought made visible. Indonesia's landscapes often create this feeling that geology has slipped into symbolism, that the earth is speaking in forms too dramatic to be accidental. Nowhere is that more evident than in the way humans chose not merely to survive among volcanoes, but to build meaning directly in their shadow. Across much of the world, people fled unstable landscapes when they could. In Indonesia, some of the greatest monuments were raised precisely where danger was most immediate. Borobudur is the supreme expression of that choice. Rising from central Java like a stone mandala, it is the largest Buddhist monument on Earth, constructed in the 8th and 9th centuries, from millions of blocks of volcanic stone. It does not dominate its landscape in the way a fortress does. It unfolds from it tier by tier square, giving way to circle narrative panels, giving way to open stupas, all designed to guide the pilgrim from the world of desire toward enlightenment. Yet this spiritual machine of stone was built in the shadow of one of Java's most dangerous volcanoes. Merapi, whose name means mountain of fire, has erupted repeatedly across history, covering villages and fields with ash pyroclastic flows and fear. It still dominates the horizon near Borobudur. The monument exists not because danger was absent, but because danger was accepted as part of the sacred order. In Java, the volcano was not merely a threat. It was a presence, a cosmic force to be acknowledged, negotiated with, lived beside. Borobudur itself was eventually abandoned and buried under volcanic ash and jungle growth, then rediscovered and restored centuries later, as if Indonesia had staged its own parable about loss, burial, and return. The same tension between devotion and danger rises from the sea at Tanah Lot in Bali. There, a temple stands on a rock outcrop, isolated by tides, lashed constantly by waves dark against sunset. Beautiful precisely because it seems so vulnerable. It appears impossible that it should remain standing, but that is the essence of Indonesian sacred architecture. Temples are not placed where the world is safe. They are placed where the boundary between order and chaos feels thin. Tanah Lot is not merely scenic. It is an argument in stone that holiness is often found in precarious places where the ocean never stops testing the rock beneath it, and the sky changes color like a warning. Across the archipelago, people learned not to erase volcanic danger from their worldview, but to integrate it. Mountains became more than geology. They became ancestors' guardians, tempers to be respected. Fertility came from ash, so gratitude and fear had to coexist. Rice fields flourished because eruptions had once laid waste to forests. Villages rebuilt because they always had. Faith deepened not in spite of instability, but because of it. This is what makes Indonesia so difficult to reduce. It is not simply a tropical paradise, nor merely a disaster zone. It is a system in which collapse and abundance continually generate one another. Ancient catastrophe made modern fertility possible. Isolation made evolution stranger. Danger made belief more intense. And the people who lived here responded not by trying to separate themselves from these forces, but by building lives' myths and monuments directly inside them. In Indonesia, destruction is not the end of the story. It is often the opening line. Everything beautiful here seems to carry the memory of what once tried to erase it. Lake Toba carries the memory of a super eruption. Komodo carries the memory of an older world. Flores carries the memory of another humanity. Kelimutu carries the memory of the dead. Borobudur carries the memory of burial and rediscovery. Tanah Lot carries the memory of waves that never stop striking. This country was not assembled in peace. It was forged in episodes of fire isolation, drowning, and return. That is why its beauty feels so intense. It has been earned. And as the camera pulls back from temples, dragons crater lakes, and drowned continental shelves, truth emerges with absolute clarity. Indonesia did not become extraordinary despite catastrophe. It became extraordinary because catastrophe was the artist. If Chapter 1 is about how violence created Indonesia, then Chapter 2 is about the impossible truth that people chose to stay. And not only to stay, but to build entire civilizations on the trembling line between disaster and abundance. In most places on Earth, fire and water are opposites. Here they are partners. The same volcano that buries a village in ash also feeds the soil that will grow rice for generations. The same sea that brings fish trade and beauty also rises, erodes floods, and slowly takes land away. To live in Indonesia is not to defeat nature, nor even to resist it fully. It is to negotiate with it every single day. In Bali, that negotiation begins in the rice terraces, where the island's famous green geometry climbs the slopes beneath active volcanoes like a hymn written into the land. From above, the terraces appear serene, almost too perfect to be real. Each level holding water like a mirror, each edge carved by human hands over centuries. But this beauty is not decorative. It is structural. It is theological. It is a machine of survival built in collaboration with gravity, rain ash, and belief. The Subak irrigation system is not simply agriculture. It is one of the clearest examples anywhere in the world of how spiritual philosophy can become landscape. Water descends from the volcanic highlands through channels, temples, sluices, and terraces, guided not only by engineering, but by a worldview that sees no separation between ecology and ritual. Priests bless water. Farmers meet collectively to decide planting times. The system is calibrated to balance pest control, water flow, labor, and fertility, not by maximizing individual gain, but by preserving the health of the whole. In a world increasingly shaped by extraction, Bali offers another model, older and more precise harmony, as infrastructure. And beneath that harmony lies volcanic ash, the gift of destruction weathered into nourishment. The fields are so productive because the mountains above them are so dangerous. That paradox defines the entire archipelago. Farmers bend in ankle-deep water, pressing rice seedlings into the mud with repetitive, practiced motion. Their reflections broken by ripples, their work as rhythmic as prayer. It is easy from a distance to call these terraces peaceful. It is harder and truer to understand that they are peaceful because generations of people learned how to make peace with instability. In Indonesia, beauty is rarely separate from risk. It is often made from it. Shift from Bali's ordered green to the edge of the sea, and the same truth appears in another form. On coral-fringed coasts and shallow marine platforms, communities have built villages above the water itself, houses rising on stilts over tidal flats. Children running along narrow wooden walkways as boats slide underneath. In some places, entire settlements seem to float between reef and sky, fragile in construction, yet astonishing in persistence. For sea nomad communities, the boundary between home and ocean is not fixed. Boats are not tools, but extensions of identity. Tides determine rhythm. Weather determines access. Fish determine survival. The sea gives everything and demands everything. In these villages, Wood Creek's salt dries on every surface, and the line between abundance and vulnerability is paper thin. A storm can tear through the settlement. A bad season can empty nets. A bleaching reef can collapse a food chain. Yet life continues in motion, repairing hulls, mending nets, diving, rowing, waiting, adapting. There is no illusion of permanence here, only continuity through improvisation. The ocean is not scenery. It is occupation pantry highway and threat all at once. And farther west, that same relationship between water and human ambition reaches one of its most dramatic forms in Jakarta, a city of more than 10 million people, built on a plain that is slowly sinking beneath its own weight. Jakarta does not drown suddenly, it subsides. Groundwater extraction, coastal development, and rising seas combine to create a crisis so vast it feels almost abstract until you look at the details. Sea walls raised higher. Each year, neighborhoods flooding repeatedly. Pumps running constantly. Roads and foundations settling unevenly. The city fighting not a cinematic catastrophe, but a slow arithmetic of loss. And yet the city does not pause. Traffic still pulses through its arteries. Motorbikes still swarm through narrow gaps. Towers of glass and concrete still rise. Street vendors still sell food beside drainage canals. Markets still open at dawn. The contradiction is staggering. A capital city sinking by measurable centimeters each year continues to expand. Transact, build, consume, and dream. In Indonesia, precarity does not always announce itself as panic. Often, it becomes routine. People learn which roads flood first, which doors need to be raised, which seasons now bring water where water never came before. Life adjusts because life must. This is one of the deepest themes of the archipelago. Not triumph over danger, but adaptation to constant instability, until instability itself becomes a condition of normal life. But nowhere is this negotiation between necessity and danger more brutal, more intimate, or more unforgettable than at Kawah Ijen in East Java. Before dawn, while most of the island still sleeps, men begin climbing into a crater that looks less like a workplace than like an entrance to another realm. The air grows sharper with sulfur. The path steepens. Darkness presses close. Then, in the blackness, something unnatural appears. Electric blue fire dancing along the volcanic rock. It does not look like ordinary flame. It looks chemical spectral impossible. This is not lava. It is sulfuric gas, igniting as it escapes from the mountain, burning with a color that seems imported from science fiction. In the darkness of the crater, the ground glows as if the earth itself had split open and revealed machinery beneath creation. And into this glowing toxicity walk men carrying only simple tools, cloth masks and baskets. They descend into the crater, not for spectacle but for work. Pipes channel sulfuric gases from vents in the rock, causing molten sulfur to condense into red liquid and then harden into bright yellow slabs. The miners break these slabs by hand, load them into baskets, and carry them out on their shoulders. Often, 70, 80, sometimes 90 kilograms at a time, up steep volcanic paths, through fumes that burn the eyes and throat over terrain that would feel hostile even without the poison in the air. The body bends under the load, spines curve, footsteps shorten. Breath becomes a within labor. They climb slowly, not because they choose slowness, but because every muscle is negotiating with pain. The crater is one of the most visually extraordinary places in Indonesia, perhaps in the world. But its beauty is inseparable from exploitation. Tourists come for the blue fire and the sulfur lake, for photographs of an infernal landscape lit in impossible color. The miners come because the crater is a paycheck. They descend into what looks like a mythological underworld and return with yellow rock that will be refined and sold, while they themselves are paid a fraction of its later value. There is no metaphor more exact for Indonesia's central contradiction. The same forces that create wonder also create danger. The same landscapes that attract awe also absorb suffering. To stand at Ijen is to understand with painful clarity that beauty can coexist with inequality without softening it. The mountain does not care whether it is admired or worked. It burns all the same. Yet even here, among toxic fumes and fire-colored darkness, resilience persists in human form. Men joke on the path. Rest briefly. Shift the load. Continue upward. They have transformed a place that looks like hell into a system of livelihood. Not because it is fair, not because it is sustainable, but because survival in Indonesia often means learning how to extract life from places that appear unlivable. That lesson echoes across the islands. Farmers shape water beneath volcanoes. Sea communities anchor themselves above coral. Jakarta negotiates with sinking ground. Sulfur miners carry the mountain on their backs. Fire and water do not simply surround these lives. They define them. And still, the archipelago breathes. Rice ripples in the wind below active peaks. Children dive from stilted walkways into clear tidewater. A skyline gleams above subsiding soil. Blue fire burns in a crater before dawn, while human silhouettes move through the smoke like figures from an older age. This is Indonesia's present tense, not a paradise untouched by danger, but a civilization built in direct conversation with it. Every field, every village, every port, every city Every trail into a crater says the same thing in a different language. We know the risk. We remain anyway. We plant anyway. We build anyway. We descend into the mountain anyway. Because in this country, life has never existed outside the threat of destruction. It has only learned how to grow beside it, float above it, or walk directly into it, and come back carrying something valuable. Indonesia does not survive by escaping fire and water. It survives by breathing with them. After the furnace of sulfur steel blue flame and human labor inside volcanic lungs, Indonesia opens again this time, not into another wound of the earth, but into a kind of protected magnificence, a reminder that danger does not only destroy, it also guards. Because some of the richest sanctuaries on this archipelago survive precisely where access is hardest, where storms, currents, swamps, cliffs, and distance have discouraged conquest more effectively than any law. In the Far East, Raja Ampat rises out of the sea like a scattered vision. Hundreds of limestone islands, jungle-clad and ringed by reefs, standing in waters so clear and saturated with color that they seem exaggerated even before the camera begins to move. From above, the ocean shifts through impossible bands of cobalt, turquoise, jade, and black-blue depth. A mosaic formed by coral gardens, tidal channels, and drop-offs where life changes by the meter. This is not merely one of the most beautiful seascapes on Earth. It is one of the most biologically dense marine systems. For recorded, the same remoteness that once kept large fleets, industrial ports, and intensive development away also allowed an ancient abundance to remain. Strong currents pour through the channels between islands, carrying nutrients from the deep-feeding reef systems of staggering complexity. Hard corals build cathedrals below the surface. Soft corals bloom like submerged trees. Clouds of Anthias fusiliers, surgeonfish, and butterfly fish move in coordinated bursts over bommies and walls, while turtles drift past in effortless arcs, unconcerned by the frenzy around them. And then from the blue, the mantas appear. They do not arrive with aggression or speed, but with scale and composure. Wide-winged bodies gliding above cleaning stations, where small reef fish remove parasites from their skin. Their movement seems less like swimming than flight translated into water. Each turn broad and unhurried. Each pass close enough to reveal the intelligence in their eyes, and the scars etched across their bodies from old encounters with hooks, predators, or life itself. In many places on Earth, creatures like this are reduced to rarity by proximity to human ambition. Here, in these storm-shaped waters, at the edge of easy access, they still move with the confidence of animals that evolved in abundance. Even the light behaves differently in Raja Ampat. Sunbeams penetrate the shallows and fracture across schools of bait fish, turning motion into silver static. Waves above distort the reef into a shifting mirror. The ocean feels less like a surface and more like a layered atmosphere. To descend beneath it is to enter another climate, another architecture, another tempo of existence. And yet, this paradise is not protected by gentleness. It is protected by hardship. Monsoonal weather, difficult navigation distance from major infrastructure, and strong tidal movement once limited large-scale exploitation here. The very features that make the region feel wild. Its broken geography, sudden squalls, Narrow reef passages and unforgiving open water are the same features that preserved it. Indonesia repeatedly teaches this lesson. The more inaccessible a place appears, the more life may have been allowed to remain complete within it. That lesson continues inland, where another great refuge rises not from the sea, but from humidity, peat, and forest darkness. In Sumatra and Borneo, the rainforest is not merely dense, it is resistant. It swallows roads, resists visibility, and turns machines into temporary intrusions. The ground itself can become a defense system, waterlogged, unstable, heavy with root systems, hidden channels, and swamp forest that defeats tires, slows boots, and complicates every effort to convert living complexity into simple extraction. Here in the green half-light survives one of the most intelligent and emotionally legible creatures on Earth, the orangutan. The name means person of the forest, and few animals make the phrase feel so exact. Their faces carry age and contemplation. Their movements are a deliberate, economical, thoughtful. They do not rush because the canopy does not reward haste. 40 meters above the ground, life is measured in grip strength, branch selection, memory, and route planning. An orangutan does not simply climb. It calculates. Each shift of weight is tested through the hands before the body commits. Fingers curl around vines. Feet grasp supporting branches. And a body that seems at first too large for such heights becomes, through perfect distribution of mass and patience, entirely at home there. At dusk, the forest reveals another of its secret architectures. High in the canopy, an orangutan begins building its nest. Branches are bent inward. Smaller limbs are woven into the frame. Leaves are gathered and layered. For comfort, insulation, and stability, it is construction, but also intention. Every night a new sleeping platform. Every dawn another departure. In these nests, suspended high above swamp and shadow survival becomes an act of design. To watch this is to recognize another paradox of Indonesia, where the land appears chaotic, life often becomes extraordinarily precise. The orangutan is not merely surviving the forest, it is reading it, engineering within it. Using its flexibility rather than opposing it. Mothers move through this world, with infants clinging tightly to their fur, teaching through proximity, example, and repetition. Young orangutans learn not from instinct alone, but from observation over years, a deep apprenticeship in a vertical civilization of branches, fruiting cycles, and remembered pathways. This long childhood is both a strength and a vulnerability. Intelligence takes time. Independence comes slowly. In a disturbed forest, time is exactly what becomes scarce. And so the rainforest, like Raja Ampat, is both sanctuary and frontline. Its inaccessibility has saved it in places, but not everywhere. Logging roads, plantations, and fire have already redrawn vast areas across Indonesia's forested islands. Yet, where the terrain remains difficult enough, where peat swamps are too deep, where slopes are too broken, where distance still punishes extraction, fragments of the old world endure. Hornbills cross openings between giant trees. Gibbons call it dawn. Insects raise a continuous electric field of sound. Humidity clings to every surface. Fallen trunks dissolve into fungi, vines, ants, and seedlings. Nothing is static yet. Everything feels ancient. The orangutan's orange coat glows against green shadow like an ember moving through foliage. And in that image, the chapter's deeper truth becomes visible. Some landscapes are preserved not because humans chose restraint first, but because nature imposed enough difficulty to keep appetite at bay. Danger, complexity, and inconvenience become guardians. The same archipelago that in one place invites tourists into volcanic craters, and in another seduces surfers toward reef-lined waves, also contains refuges where life remained intact largely because entry was too expensive, too uncertain, too hard. Raja Ampat's storms, currents, and distance guarded reefs bright enough to seem invented. Borneo's swamps, heat, and forest density guarded a red-furred architect of the trees. These are not untouched Edens in the naive sense. Human presence reaches them too increasingly and irreversibly. But they survive in greater wholeness because Indonesia's geography still resists simplification. Water protects, mud protects, distance protects, difficulty protects, and in a century defined by access speed and the flattening of obstacles, that resistance may be one of the last great forms of conservation left to the natural world. This is why the chapter matters. It slows the film not by removing danger, but by reframing it. The same forces that make Indonesia unstable also make it defensible. Isolation once created. Komodo dragons, hobbits, and crater lakes that change color like thought. Now in other corners of the archipelago, isolation still shelters manta rays, reefs, peat swamps, and orangutans, building evening nests in the sky. The Fire and Water Nation contains within it not only places of eruption and labor, but places where the living world remains so intricate, so visually overwhelming, and so ecologically dense that it feels like looking backward in time. Toward a planet before reduction, before simplification, before too many edges had been smoothed by us. As the camera rises above Raja Ampat's karst islands, or follows an orangutan disappearing into leaves 40 meters above the forest floor, Indonesia reveals another of its essential contradictions. Its fiercest obstacles are also its greatest gifts. The storm is a gatekeeper. The swamp is a wall. The reef is both beauty and barrier. And because of that, in these difficult, magnificent corners, nature still holds the advantage. If the earlier chapters reveal how destruction created Indonesia and how people learned to live within that instability, then this chapter reveals the most unsettling truth of all: catastrophe did not drive humanity away from these islands. It made them irresistible. The same eruptions, earthquakes, and tsunamis that once terrified kingdoms and erased coastlines now draw millions of visitors, cameras, businesses, and dreams. Indonesia has become a place where danger itself is packaged, anticipated, admired, and in some cases, sold. But to understand that strange transformation, the memory of disaster must be allowed to return first. Because this beauty is never innocent. In December 2004, one of the deadliest tsunamis in recorded history struck the Indian Ocean after a massive undersea earthquake ruptured west of Sumatra. Entire communities in Aceh were erased in minutes. Water moved inland with impossible force, carrying boats onto roofs, pulverizing roads, scattering families, tearing apart buildings that had stood for generations. More than 200,000 people across the region were killed, and the scale of grief was so immense that even language seemed to fail beside it. In Indonesia, the sea was no longer merely a source of food transport and horizon. It became for a moment pure destructive momentum. Then came the eruptions. In 2010, Mount Merapi, one of Indonesia's most active volcanoes, unleashed pyroclastic flows, ash clouds, and incandescent avalanches that tore down its slopes with terrifying speed. Villages beneath its flanks disappeared beneath debris and ash. Fields were buried. Air turned opaque. Sirens, evacuation routes, masks, fleeing motorcycles, livestock dragged through gray daylight. This too is part of Indonesia's reality. The archipelago lives with periodic reminders that the beautiful silhouettes on postcards are active systems of pressure, and that the line between a scenic volcano and a lethal one is often just a matter of timing. Yet the aftermath of disaster in Indonesia rarely remains a vacuum for long. Ash settles, roads reopen, markets return, and increasingly so do tourists. That is the great twist of the modern archipelago. Instability has not merely been endured, it has been transformed into magnetism. Nowhere is that transformation more visible than in Bali, an island that has become one of the most recognizable travel fantasies on Earth. Temples, terraces, surf sunsets, villas, flower baths, sacred gates, mirrored in smartphone screens. Bali is sold globally as serenity, spirituality, and tropical perfection. But even Bali lives in the shadow of fire. Above the island rises Mount Agung, a volcano of immense cultural and geological importance, a mountain considered sacred and feared in equal measure. When Agung stirred and erupted in 2017, flights were canceled, villages were evacuated. Ash spread through the air, and once again the reminder came. Paradise here is conditional. Yet the world did not retreat for long. Soon after, visitors were back lining up before sunrise at Lempuyang Temple, waiting for photographs framed through the so-called gates of heaven, where the illusion of reflection and symmetry presents Bali as pure transcendence. In the distance, if the weather allows, the outline of Agung rises behind them. Not as interruption, but as enhancement, as if the volcano's very recent violence adds value to the image rather than diminishing it. This is the era Indonesia has entered. The dangerous backdrop is no longer hidden. It is incorporated into desire. People do not come only despite the volcano. They come because as the volcano makes the scene feel more real, more dramatic, or worth crossing the planet for. The same is true at the coast, where surfers paddle into breaks, rolling across reefs sharp enough to slice skin and destroy boards, fully aware that the beauty of the wave is inseparable from the geology beneath it. Indonesian surf culture is built on a paradox of pleasure and risk, where turquoise perfection depends on reef structures that can wound instantly, where the ideal image of effortless motion exists above an architecture of danger. Across the islands, tourism repeatedly finds ways to translate instability into allure. Sunrise viewpoints, crater treks, ash-black beaches, cliff temples over roaring seas, waterfalls born of old volcanic fractures, infinity pools aligned with jungle ravines and storm-heavy skies. Indonesia offers not safety, but sensation. And that sensation is increasingly industrialized. This is the point at which memory becomes commerce. Not a cynical commerce in every case, but a real one. The economy learns what people are willing to travel for, and in Indonesia, what they travel for is often the thrill of proximity to forces they do not fully control. That truth becomes almost brutally clear in places like Mount Bromo. At dawn, hundreds and sometimes thousands of visitors gather in the cold dark, wrapped in scarves and jackets, waiting on viewpoints high above the caldera. The first light reveals a vast ash-gray basin known as the Sea of Sand, from which Bromo rises like a smoking altar. Jeeps descend into the floor of the caldera in long lines, headlights carving through dust. Horses wait to carry tourists the final distance. Stairs climb toward the rim. Sulfur and ash drift upward. The volcano breathes visibly, audibly, persistently. It is active not as a historical fact, but in the immediate present. And still the line moves upward. Cameras rise, drones lift. The crater is no longer only a geological feature. It is a destination, a ritualized experience, a place where danger has been formatted into itinerary. What would once have been regarded simply as a site of fear is now sold through transport packages, photo spots, and timed sunrise departures. The same pattern appears again at Rinjani on Lombok, where the climb is longer. The effort, greater the reward, marketed as Transcendence Crater Lake Summit Ridge, clouds below, stars above. And always the thrill of walking toward a landscape that still contains heat gas, collapse, and uncertainty. Trekkers do not merely seek scenery. They seek the emotional voltage of standing near something unstable and surviving the encounter. Indonesia's tourism industry understands this instinct intuitively. It does not sell only beauty. It sells access to sublimity, access to edge, access to controlled danger. That phrase matters, controlled danger, because the modern visitor wants to feel close to chaos without fully surrendering to it. Guide, jeep, railing, ticket, viewpoint, drone shot, sunrise schedule. All of these create the psychological frame within which fear becomes consumable. Indonesia excels at producing that frame because the raw material is already there in overwhelming abundance. Yet for local communities, the volcano or the sea is never only a backdrop. The same mountain that appears in a tourist's perfect photograph may have forced evacuations within living memory. The same beach praised for its beauty may sit in a region where tsunami markers still stand. The same crater climbed for adventure may be tied to stories of labor mourning ritual and warning. This layered reality gives Chapter 4 its power. It is not merely about tourism. It is about conversion, how trauma becomes spectacle, how risk becomes product, how landscapes of danger are reread by global desire. But the conversion is never complete. Indonesia resists simplification even here. Because every now and then, the system reminds everyone who is really in charge. Flights halt, trails close. Ash falls on villas and temples alike. Earthquakes rattle hotel windows. News alerts break through honeymoon itineraries. Paradise flickers, and the older truth beneath it becomes visible again. Then, as before, rebuilding begins. Visitors return. Photos resume. The machine restarts. There is something almost mythic in this cycle, as if the country itself is teaching the same lesson repeatedly in different forms. Destruction and attraction are not opposites. In Indonesia, they often strengthen one another. The danger gives the beauty scale. The beauty gives the danger market value. And both are real. That is what makes the archipelago so psychologically powerful. It allows modern people, especially those from safer, more regulated landscapes, to approach raw geologic violence in curated doses and call the result wonder. But beyond the economics and spectacle lies a deeper philosophical point. Why are humans drawn so powerfully to unstable landscapes? Why do they seek out volcano rims, black sand beaches, sulfur smoke, storm-heavy temples, and reefs lined with risk? Perhaps because such places reveal what most modern environments conceal, that the planet is unfinished, that the ground under civilization is not fixed, that beauty is not the same as safety. And that part of what we call beauty may actually be the feeling of standing near something that could outlast us, erase us, or simply ignore us completely. Indonesia provides that feeling at national scale. It is an empire built on ash, not in metaphor alone, but literally. Forests, rice terraces, port cities, temples, resorts, roads, and airports. All rise from material laid down by eruption, uplift, collapse, and sediment, carried from old wounds in the earth. Even its most marketable images carry this truth, if one looks long enough. The gate at Lempuyang is beautiful because Agung stands behind it. Bromo is unforgettable because the sea of sand is not decorative, but volcanic. The surf is legendary because the reef is alive and dangerous. Bali is enchanting, not because it escaped fire, but because it learned to choreograph life beneath its shadow. Indonesia then does not merely endure disaster. It metabolizes it into soil, into ritual, into architecture, into livelihoods, into itineraries, into myth. This is its strangest genius. And as thousands of boots climb crater trails, as jeeps cut tracks across ash plains before sunrise, as cameras frame volcanoes that still smoke, the deeper paradox becomes impossible to miss. People are paying enormous sums to touch the very violence that once threatened to erase this country entirely. Not because they misunderstand the danger, but because the danger is part of the meaning. Indonesia has accomplished something almost impossible in the modern imagination. It has turned geologic fear into emotional value. It has made the center of destruction feel like the center of beauty. And in doing so, it proves a final and unsettling point. The greatest victory over catastrophe is not always escape. Sometimes it is the ability to look directly into the crater, feel the heat rising, and still call what you see magnificent.